Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving straight in today, taking a really unique journey through a highly volatile snapshot of global headlines. Specifically, we're looking at the news cycle exactly as it stands on May 6th, 2026. Now, if you felt lately like the flow of information is just entirely overwhelming, trust me, you are not alone. Our goal today is to take that massive, totally chaotic stream of global events and organize it into a clear structure so we can all actually grasp what's happening in our world right now. And to frame our whole exploration today, we actually need to look at a breaking headline. Ted Turner has passed away at the age of 87. You might be wondering why start there. Well, because when Turner launched CNN back in 1980, he literally pioneered the modern 24-hour news culture that we're trying to decipher right now. I mean, he built the relentless, nonstop information machine that feeds us these headlines by the second. So today, we're going to examine the exact kind of chaotic, high-stakes news cycle that his creation made a permanent fixture of our daily lives. To make sense of today's absolute barrage of information, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to meticulously organize these events into four clear beats. First up, escalating global conflicts. Second, nature and health emergencies. Third, U.S. politics and justice. And finally, culture, quirks, and hope. Let's dive right into part one, escalating global conflicts. The sheer speed of modern geopolitical escalation is absolutely staggering. Just look at this timeline. On April 8th, an April ceasefire is suddenly shattered when Israel strikes Beirut's suburbs, targeting a senior Hezbollah commander. In exactly 10 minutes, starting right at 14:15, the BBC's Nawal Al-Maghafi reports widespread devastation and chaos sweeping across the country. And then just hours later, a tiny 50-hour window completely flips the landscape in the Gulf. This incredibly brief period is the exact time between U.S. President Trump announcing and then suddenly pausing a military operation called Project Freedom, which was aimed at guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz. And this rapid pivot happens right as the U.S. says it has attacked an Iranian-flagged ship. As Middle East editor Jeremy Bowen warns in our sources, this intense determination to keep the pressure on has put the already fragile Gulf ceasefire in serious jeopardy, raising the very real risk of sliding right back into an all-out war. And, these rapid escalations, they trigger instant global ripple effects. Economically speaking, reports of a potential deal to end the U.S.-Iran war have actually caused oil prices to drop and stock markets to rise on, frankly, pure hope. Meanwhile, diplomacy is scrambling to keep up. China's Wang Yi meets with Iran's Foreign Minister Ariki, pushing hard to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But of course, diplomacy doesn't automatically pause ground conflicts. Over in Ukraine, the president reports that Russia has completely ignored a unilateral ceasefire, instead attacking a kindergarten. And shifting internally, Germany is dealing with its own radical threats. Police there just launched highly targeted raids on neo-Nazi criminal youth groups, spanning 12 different states in the east and south. It's wild to think about, but modern warfare looks so wildly different depending on exactly where you stand. On one side, you have this devastating, terribly traditional reality. Ukrainian civilians trapped in the frontline city of Oleshki. They've been completely cut off from fresh food and medicine for months now, agonizing over whether to stay or risk what's grimly known as the road of death. But contrast that with the very same battlefield, where President Zelensky reports territory being captured entirely through what they are calling robot wars. We're talking military gains made using solely unmanned drones. It's jarring, right? We are seeing starving civilians trapped right next to this futuristic, highly technical unmanned warfare. Moving on to part two, nature and health emergencies. So watch how fast a major international health crisis builds, step by step. On April 12th, YouTuber Ruhi Shenit, who happens to be on board a cruise ship, films an announcement explicitly telling passengers the vessel is not infectious, even after the very first death occurred. Well, that claim changes incredibly rapidly as the highly dangerous and extremely rare human-to-human virus, specifically the hantavirus Andes strain, is officially confirmed. This immediately triggers emergency evacuations off the coast of Cape Verde for Dutch, British, and German nationals. Now this virus-hit ship is frantically rerouting across the Atlantic. It's expected to arrive in the Canary Islands in just 3 days, which is a massive deal, especially since the local president there had previously point-blank refused to let them dock. The immense gravity of this situation is crystal clear. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper bluntly calls the unfolding scenario very serious and deeply stressful, as the Foreign Office works urgently to get citizens home safely. It's a real-time, sobering reminder of how fast global travel can turn into a full-blown health emergency. Now, consider this staggering metric. We've just witnessed the second largest mega tsunami ever recorded hitting Alaska, number 2 in recorded history. So what's driving a wave of that unimaginable scale? New research points directly to glacier melt, driven by climate change. It is a stark, absolutely massive demonstration of nature's shifting, immense power. And it's not just massive historical tsunamis catching the headlines. It's also sudden, localized devastation. Just days ago, on May 4th in Bogor, West Java, heavy torrential rain caused a river to violently overflow. It completely destroyed a glamping facility with a raging torrent of water. Just an immediate, terrifying example of how unpredictable environmental emergencies can strike without any warning at all. Let's shift our focus to part 3, U.S. politics and justice. Looking closely at the domestic front, we see two very different stories leading the headlines. On the political side, Vivek Ramaswamy, who is widely described as a staunch Trump ally, has just won the Republican nomination for Ohio governor. But right alongside this political victory, we have a profound local tragedy. Police are reporting a mass shooting in Edmond, Oklahoma. At a Sunday night party near Arcadia Lake, around 21 o'clock local time, gunfire broke out, leaving one person dead and 22 others injured. Staying in the realm of U.S. justice, today's news cycle also brings the heavy conclusion to a devastating crime from 2022. A former FedEx driver has officially been sentenced to death in Texas. He was dropping off a package when he tragically kidnapped and killed 7-year-old Athena Strand. During the sentencing, Athena's uncle respectfully reminded the court, and honestly all of us reading the news today, that her loss took a piece of every single person who loved her. Finally, we've reached part 4, culture, quirks, and hope. Okay, so why did a French professor award himself a fake prize? I know, it sounds exactly like the setup to a joke, right? But no, it's an actual headline today. A French academic is currently suspended from his university and under official investigation. He's being accused of entirely dreaming up a fake academic prize purely so he could then turn around and award it to himself. It's just this bizarre, slightly humorous quirk of human ego popping up right in the middle of all this serious global news. It is fascinating how, across the globe, we use clothing to send such powerful messages. Over in North Korea, international observers are intensely analyzing the evolving outfits of Kim Joo-ae. They're actually citing her clothing as a key signal that she's being actively groomed for succession as the country's next leader. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, high society gathers for the 2026 Met Gala fundraiser under the theme Costume Art. So, whether it's an authoritarian regime signaling its future or a glamorous fundraiser exploring fashion as an embodied art form, what people choose to wear is dominating the international conversation today. And hey, we promised you some hope, right? Down in Kenya, rescuers found a baby hippo clinging to its lifeless mother at a lake. Well, that orphaned hippo has been affectionately named Bumpy, and she is now safely being hand-reared by incredibly dedicated keepers at an animal sanctuary. It's just a small, really memorable palate cleanser of pure human compassion to help close out the day's events. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And it leaves us with one pretty provocative question, honestly. From a pioneer like Ted Turner launching CNN to a day where we are simultaneously trying to process 10-minute targeted bombings, drone wars, cruise ship outbreaks, and rescued baby hippos, how do we actually process a world that moves this incredibly fast? The 24-hour information cycle isn't going to slow down anytime soon for sure. But by structuring it, breaking it apart, and truly looking at the events shaping our globe, we can at least begin to understand it all. Thank you so much for learning with us today. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.